Welcome to another Blackjack Day video and moving forward your journey to being a better Blackjack player and AP player. I am Blackjack Dave. I love to play Blackjack, talking about Blackjack and sharing the correct way to play Blackjack with others.
Before we get started analyzing our sim results from part one, let's just go back and review a little bit. This is a video, part two of betting software. And what can betting software do for you? Well, the main part of betting software is it helps you determine whether a game is profitable and how to bet optimally. We are using, or this video uses a product called CVCX, which stands for Casino Verite Chapter X. It's a professional blackjack analysis and bankroll optimization program, and it was created by an outfit called QFit. I have nothing to do with QFit. I make zero money using this software on here. I use it personally. I found it very, very beneficial for my blackjack play. What does CVCX really do in some bullet points? Well, it will help you calculate your expected hourly win rate, or EV. So basically, how much should I be making on an hourly rate when I play blackjack? Determine your risk or ruin based on your bankroll. So what are the chances if things just really don't go my way? Because there's always a mathematical risk of losing everything. If I lose my whole bankroll over time. Create and optimize bet spreads. To me, that's the most important part of betting software. What should I bet, and when should I bet it? What amount should I bet, and when? And you can compare different casino rules to see which games are most profitable. That's a very useful one as well. Okay, so now let's go look at our results and go into deep dive on them. Results screen is composed of boxes, charts, and tables. On the upper left-hand corner, we have the rules box. Next is the betting box, followed by the bankroll risk box, the simplify box, and then the expected results box. Working our way down, we have the risk box, the goals box, and then the hours to gain box. All right, next is a chart, actual results chart. And then actual results. Now we'll move on to the two tables. Next, we have the count table, very important table. And even more important is our bottom line table. Let's go back now and work our way through the boxes and tables, starting with the rules table. Yeah, looking at the rules box. First, we have there is decks. We can select 1, 2, 4, 6, or 8 decks. And let me backtrack just for a moment. What you see here are the rules you defined in the sim parameters. So before you ran the sim. Remember, this is the results of the sim you defined. So we defined 6 decks, and we have players. Total number of players at the table. And we have 5 for this one. rules. You can select from 16 rule sets. S17 stands for dealer stands on 17. DAS is a double after split. RSA is a resplit aces. And SR surrender. And I'll just do a drop down here so you can see all of those. So there you go. And for our sim run, we chose stand on 17 and have surrender. And then where it says decks, cards, and percent, I'm going to call that the shuffle points. And here, this is saying when a round starts, this many or fewer cards in the shoe is shuffled. Shuffle point can be set in cards remaining, death percentage, or number of decks dealt. And I have a whole video on how the game changes in your favor or not in your favor based on these parameters here. And when we get to the counting table, we'll see how much it affects in the positive and in the negative. All right. Let's look at column 1 of the count table. Column 1 is the count column. Count. This is your true count. So the row mark 2 means what happens when my true count is +2. The row mark 3 means true count +3 and so forth. The first row, less than or equal to -4, combines very negative counts into one bucket. Let's proceed to the next column. Count frequency. It's probably the most overlooked column. This tells you how frequently that true count occurs. Let's look at the numbers. True count equals 0, 26.63%. That means more than 1/4 of all the hands you play at a true count of 0. Compare that with true count +4 equals 3.10%. Only about 3 hands out of every 100 occurs at +4. And at true count +6, Blackjack Heaven equals 1.22%. So those beautiful high count situations simply don't happen very often. CVCX defines this column as percentage of hands occurring at each true count.
Hello, my name is card counting girl Jenny, and I'm going to explain to you the table below. This is where the numbers start to get really interesting. With CVCX estimating about 81 rounds per hour, we can turn those frequency percentages into actual hands per hour. And when you do that, you'll quickly see just how common the lower true counts are and how rare those big positive counts really become. The table below is a very useful way to think about the frequency column in the count table. Next will be card counting girl Sarah to tell you all about the next column in the count table, the win-loss column. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you, Jenny. Hello, I am card counting girl Sarah. I am going to go over the win-loss column. This is your mathematical advantage or disadvantage at that count. CVCX describes this as the expected percentage won at each true count, also known as IBA. Looking at the simulation results, at true count of 0.045%, the casino still has approximately a 0.45% advantage. At true count of +1 finally have a small advantage of +0.08%. You're essentially around break even, but now barely positive. Then, at true count of +2 +0.64%, now you have a meaningful player advantage. True count plus 3, an advantage of 120% even better. True count of 4, an advantage of 1.76%. Now you're in a very favorable situation. Notice how nicely the simulation demonstrates the general card counting principle. Each additional true count is worth roughly another 0.5% of advantage. It's not exactly 0.50% every time, but look at your actual results. 0.45 plus 0.08 plus 0.64 plus 1 tonsi plus 1.76 plus 2.31 plus 2.88. That's remarkably close. Next up is my friend card counting girl Alice.
Hello, I am Blackjack counting girl Alice. Sarah sure wears some tight blouses, and I do not think they are real. I am going to cover the column which many Blackjack players and CVCX users do not understand, the standard deviation column. First, let's define standard deviation. Standard deviation measures how much Blackjack results can fluctuate around the expected average. A higher number means greater swings. Even with a positive advantage, short-term wins and losses can vary dramatically because Blackjack has substantial natural variance. At true count of 2, the standard deviation is 121. At true count of 4, the standard deviation is 127. This represents the statistical variability of the results at that count. Think of standard deviation as how volatile Blackjack is at that true count. Blackjack has enormous short-term variance relative to its small mathematical edge. For example, at true count of 3, expected value is equal to plus 1.20%, but standard deviation is equal to 122. That enormous difference explains why having a mathematical advantage doesn't mean you're going to win tonight. You may have a 1-2% edge, but individual hands can produce wins, losses, doubles, splits, and blackjacks that swamp that tiny edge in the short run. This is one reason bankroll management is so important. Next up is card cooting girl Kim, and she is going to tell you all about one of CVCX's most valuable columns.
Hello, I am card counting girl Kim. I am going to explain the optimal bets, exact column, at true count of 2, the graphic shows. 451. This means CVCX mathematically calculated an optimal wager of approximately 451 times your betting unit. At true count of 3, bet 8.42 units. At true count of 4, 12.00 units. CVCX describes the optimal bet exact column as the ideal number of units calculated to maximize the desirability of the betting scheme. Now let's take a look at the optimal bets chips column. This converts the mathematical bet into a bet you can actually put on the table. Your minimum bid is $30. So CVCX uses your unit size and bet exactness to convert the exact mathematical wager into profitable amounts. This is the column I would actually memorize for casino play. I also made it into a chart for you below. You're welcome.
Thank you, card counting girl Kim, and thank you for watching this video. In part 3, we will discuss the result box, which tells us what happens when CVX combines all those true counts, frequencies, advantages, and bets. Until then, I wish you many blackjacks.